Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the upcoming Phrecia event, which is a special event where there are 19 new ascendancies. And this is actually going to be my league starter, so it is going to be Oshabi Detonate Dead of Chaining. It is highly experimental because there's not a great way to practice it right now in the game. So a lot of this is basically like an idea of what I think I'm going to be doing, and then we are going to have to change things on the fly. Like, I do have another build that is a lot safer for people, like the Power Siphon Miner. We just know that's going to be a banger. And we're also doing a lot of collabs with other streamers, so check those out on my YouTube. This is what I'm going to be doing. I think it'll be really fun. The aim of it is to be like a blaster that comes online very quickly, goes to 16s. I don't know about 17s on hardcore. That might be iffy, mostly because of the defense. So I would preface this by this is not like the most safe thing I'm making. I have made like a step-by-step leveling guide. You basically start out with P-Conk, so Poison Concoction, and you do that until Merklab. That is very safe. This part I'm not worried about at all. It's going to be very dreamy leveling, especially because we get Oath of the Magi. 30% MS by having no socket in your boots, 30% life with no socket in your gloves, or if you're struggling to res cap, just have no socket in your helmet, right? You're not going to get all three of these, but you can easily get one, probably two. So I would probably be going for the res and the movement speed. And then for our crew lab, we get the Illuminating Wisps. Doesn't do anything at this point. You don't really need to bother ascending until Merklab, except from the normal one. Like your Cruel and Mark, you can do it at the same time. The Merklab, however, this is where we can go Spellslinger, and you will also need Detonate Dead of Chain reaction. That is very important because we're going to be doing poison. Now, in Merklab, we want to switch to Roots of the Grove. The reason for that is to make Detonate Dead of Chain reaction. That'll make the fire, and if you have any cold or lightning damage, it'll make all of that damage poison. So this is similar to Elementalist, where it will in fact give poison. You don't need this and poison chance. It doesn't just enable that your fire damage can poison, and then you still need poison chance. This will make it poison. So on top of letting elemental damage poison, it also gives 100% chance to poison with everything. The downside is they do need 5 Grasping Vines, and you do need to have inflict 5 Grasping Vines, which we do 1 per hit. We're using Kinetic Blast, which has like repeated explosions. Should happen really fast. I've seen some POBs only have Frenzy in them, and I have no idea how that is going to function. And there is this Anoint as well in a pinch. The problem is, without Pathfinder, you don't have a good way to keep the life flask up. So you're kind of screwed. Like, we are relying just on the ascendancy here for this, and that's why Kinetic Blast and quality on the Kinetic Blast is important. To the best of my knowledge, the Sacred Wisps Kinetic Blast should also be applying the vines. So that should help with it stacking more. And I've tried to make like very, very cheap stuff to like see what does it look like on a budget or something that I think is achievable early. So like the life early P-Conk is just life, suppression, resist on whatever you can get. And it'll work really on that. Somewhere I'm hoping to have this before day 3, before day 2. Definitely not the tankiest thing ever. We have evasion, we have block, and 11k Phrecia, which is not great. Now, I do want to talk about that a little bit because you can get more. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about what to go for on rings. Once you have a few Divine Orbs, multi-modding things like this, which was one of the things I stole from Quantric, looks really nice. It would be high life, high chaos rest, which is pretty doable with, again, recombinators. And then you just multi-mod endurance charge and mana cost of skills. Mana is also one of the things I'm a little bit uncertain on the build, because most things are going to be costing 20 mana, I think. Yeah, 20 mana, so it could go fast. So the plan to get mana back is I have this, which I haven't seen a lot of people do. Threat of Battle, and 1 jewel, Viridian Jewel, with mana on hit. And a third source, if you need more mana on hit, obviously KB will give us a lot, would be a Shaper Ring with mana on hit. But with the current setup, we're getting 1.6 almost damage from the Corpse Explosion and 1.52 from the spell portion. 3 point something mil damage per second, which is fine, I think, for a starter. Now, what kind of weapon am I theory crafting this with? This is a Deafening Wrath, tier 3 or tier 4 fire, crafted cold, and I believe that's tier 1 attack speed. So the ones are not super unreasonable to get extremely good with recombinators. Early on, while you might not be able to have a lot of minus mana cost, there's a few options. You can sacrifice part of your energy shield because we are kind of hybrid in this, and you can go EB. That'll definitely be enough to have no mana issues. It's a very lazy solution, and I will not be doing that. But if you see here, when we don't have the Enlighten, if we're only running one of the auras, we actually have 34% unreserved. So if you just get a bunch of mana in on hit, should be fine for most things. And you can run Skitterbots instead. So the auras are going to be a little bit go by feel. If you have Enlighten level 3, you should be able to fit Grace and Malevolence, putting us at very respectable 20k evasion. And you have 46 mana left, which is a little bit low. But what you could do then is, since we have so many jewel slots in this build, you can get 2% or is it 3% reservation on jewels. On this build, we are ES hybrid, right? So you probably don't want to run Blood Rage. I think that's going to be a little bit rough because you don't have an amazing way to recover your ES. I will be running Leech Mastery and a Thorough Feast, so hopefully that keeps it topped off. But I don't know if you can do that with Blood Rage. So what I'd instead be doing is Frenzy for bosses and then maximize my attack speed around Frenzy, because while mapping, my optimal trigger rate is not super important. But for bossing and single target, it is going to be insanely important. So what is optimal trigger rate? So if we go to the PoE wiki here, you can see that there are different attack rates for different cooldowns. If I remember right, we were roughly getting to 336 attack rate is like our ideal attack rate. Which I can't remember if we currently have that set right now. The important thing when you're actually playing this, and this is going to be very individual based on your gear, but have this in the back of your head that you're calculating your cooldown rate, and then it just tells you what attack rate you need. And you want slightly below, like for example, if we're at this threshold, say that we have 82% cooldown rate, you would not want 3.05. It would be good to have 3.01 because of server tick rate and stuff like that. Bandits for this, a lyric could be nice, but I think it will be incredibly easy to rest cap, especially during the campaign. And we are going to have the Oath of the Magi that we can get so much rest from our helmet. But 15 rest for 1 point is obviously always nice for your day one stuff. And then you can always respec later for 20 regrets and an Onyx amulet. Major God, we're going to be doing Brine King, and I like Ralikesh as minor god. So in the endgame, we can go for a Balance of Terror. This would be a 2-stat one, so the Wither is the most important thing, but if you are able to go for a lot of attack speed, we could try to hit further breakpoints, right? Like the max one would require 5 attack rate and having a 200 millisecond cooldown. So this would be one of the places you can get more cooldown recovery rate. But the Wither Despair thing, what that would do is we could potentially get rid of Withering Touch here from the glove and then have faster attacks instead, right? So that's going to put us up to 3.56 attack rate. I did also look at an energy shield version. I think that might end up being good, super endgame. The life version does look a lot nicer to me though. So the idea for the energy shield version and what could be really strong is that you're using Oath of the Magi. You would probably only do this when you actually get a really good helmet, so a Hypothermia and Immolate helmet with the 30% more damage. These would be probably made with Recombinators, but fossils should be able to use them too, or make them too with Glyphic Fossil. But Energy Shield, I can see that being a very endgame version. Big problem with that, it doesn't really get that much fizz taken. The shrine stuff will make it really interesting too. I'm not 100% sure. It depends a little bit on the idols, which is basically what's replacing the Atlas of Worlds. So hopefully we'll have some really cool stuff there. I could see it being really fun to have like an obliteration for mapping, because you might have enough damage that you can use an obliteration. Obviously it's a lot less damage than the elemental ones we're making, but it might feel good just for the explosion and blasting shrines, push for like really fast level 100 kind of thing. Another note, for the clusters, like the third thing doesn't matter. We're not taking that. We're not really super interested in that. Unspeakable Gifts could be an interesting one to have for mapping, but we mostly care about having Unwavering Evil and Wicked Pal. Also, another thing that's nice is we do have Ghost Dance. So since we have a bunch of evasion, our energy shield will be topped up very fast by that. That's basically the rough idea for the build. Obviously not as fleshed out as our normal league starters and stuff, because it's quite experimental. I'm going to be playing it myself, so I'll play it and then make an update video of like this was awful and this was great and this was what we went with. So I'd probably even make an update video at the end of my first session or end of my second session. If you're watching me live, it'll be pretty easy to see instantly what's going well and what isn't. And yeah, if you're going to be playing something similar, feel free to hang out in my chat and we can all work on it together. I know there's a few other people that are looking at starting Slinger as well, so it'll be cool to see how the build progresses. But I think this is a good outline, so a lot less beginner friendly, I think, because there are a lot of question marks. There are a lot of things we're gonna have to adapt to on the fly. But hopefully this gives you a good outlook into like what I'm thinking and how I'm going to be approaching this league. I'm going to be playing Hardcore Trade, but I do think it's a pretty solid solo self-on build because there's nothing that's like rare or hard to drop, right? Everything is very farmable for this. The main issue that I see for this is that it's not super tanky, so you're not going to be focusing on bosses early. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.